Hi, this is Nancy McClelland with Design Inventions, and I want to share a card with you today from the All Too New Academy. 'Tis the Season class, and I'm going to choose to do the rustic holiday theme on my card. So I've pulled a couple of All Too New products that I have for the holiday. I really have very few. And I had some stamp sets here, the poinsettia and pine, which I thought would work well because I want to use the pine cone. And then I have another one that is the majestic mistletoe, and it has the merry and bright words. I thought that I would use those. I don't have dies for either one of these, but I'm going to use my scan and cut to work with those. Then I needed a background to bring the rustic theme in, so I chose the wood palette background. So I'm going to stamp that up in my MISTI, and I'm going to choose lots of different colors to stamp this with in the browns and the gray tones. And that's going to give me that palette look. So I'm quickly stamping that together, and then I'm going to color the pine cone, which I have stamped using rich cocoa from Memento. I'm using the Caramel Toffee artist markers here to color, and I can color outside the line because I'm just going to cut this with a scan and cut, so you don't have to be perfect. And I'm layering different colors, and I'm using the paper bag next, and I'm finding that this is getting a little red. I'm also putting this on a piece of beige paper. It's not like a white paper you would use with your alcohol markers, so it's going to come off a little different. So now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, which is the warm sunshine, to tip off the edges and see how much lift of color I'm getting, and it's turning orangier and redder. So as I'm doing this, I'm deciding that I really need to brown it down. I didn't have any browns in the artist markers, so I decided to take a gray, and I could gray this down by picking out another gray marker. So I'm choosing the evening gray, and I'm going to go over it with the evening gray. And as I go over this with the evening gray, you can see that it's kind of lifting the color. It's turning a little greener. It's not as easy probably to see on camera, but it is turning a little greener. So I'm going to go ahead and add the next darkest gray in there, which is Moon Rock. And so I will add that, and you can see it turns really dark. And so I think, okay, I need to go back and add some more brown and warm it. So I'm going to put the caramel toffee back in there and see what that does. And it's starting to look nice and lift back up again. And I can see a little bit of a yellow hue. I'm adding some paper bag. So again, it's just layering and playing with the colors. That's all it really takes. You know, you can go back in and add some more gray tone in there, but I really enjoyed this. It's fun. I do non-traditional alcohol markers on top of each other all the time. So as I'm graying this down, I'm looking at it, and you know, it looks fine. I'm happy with what I'm getting, so I'm going to let that go and call it quits. Okay, so now I've got my MISTI loaded with the palette background, and I want to start adding some of the fern pieces that I can, you know, have some fern pine looking things coming off of the pine cone. So I'm kind of laying them in there, and I'm using forest glades, and I'm just stamping them down in that bottom corner. And I've got evergreen that I'm adding in there, just lots of, you know, different colors. I'm going to add in some olive, and that's going to be a lot brighter. It's not going to be that much of the blue in the darker tone. And then I'm going to add in some moss. So I'm just stamping in a cluster down there so that my pine cones can just be on the bottom. So I've placed my pine cones up here. That's where they're going to lay. I've kind of spaced them up there, playing with them, how I want them to look. And I also have my sentiment that I'm, you know, trying to determine exactly what I want to do with that. So I have the merry and the Bright, and I've stamped those on just some scrap red paper. I thought they should go there. I'm kind of playing with them to see where I want them to go with the pine cones. I have the little and symbol that is in the stamp set, and I'm just not happy with, the size of it and trying to place it, how it looks. I thought it would be nice, but it just turned out too large. I played around with it, moved things around, and I just thought I wasn't going to work. So you can see I just kind of continue to work with this, and I actually finally ditched the idea and just, I look at this and I'm going, no, I'm going to give up with that. So I decide to look for a little and stamp someplace in my stash, something that I've got, and I actually just cut the word and off of one of my stamps that was the right size and decided that that was what I was going to use. It was going to be the best thing for me to do, and it was, going to make me much happier at that point. Okay, so I get everything out of the MISTI. I take the piece of paper I had it taped down so that I could stamp it and stamp it off the sides with the big stamp. So I'm going to place my pine cones on. I'm going to glue one down directly, but before I do that, I decide, oh, I want to put some Wink of Stella. Just put a little bit of Wink of Stella on these branches to be some highlight. So they'll just look a little sparkly, maybe like they have a little bit of a snow cover on them. I know that this is supposed to be rustic, but it can still have some fun, elements in there. So just putting that in real sketchy, and that's super easy. That clear Wink of Stella pen, I love it. It's fabulous to add accents. So now I am going to, I know where my pine cones are going to go, so I'm happy with that. I can put those on the card. I put one down directly with a tape runner, and then I put pop dots on the other one just to raise it just a little bit. I have decided that I like my Merry and Bright kind of like where it is up there in the top, so I'm going to get the and. I have the and that is mounted on my little stamp block there, and I want to stamp it on there, so I'm going to bring in a stamp mat so I get a good coverage on that, and kind of place again my Merry and Brights, if I put them the right way, where I want them to go, and then I can stamp that and up. Super easy to do. I'm stamping that up with espresso, so it's the darkest brown, and that was a perfect little and to go between there. So I was real happy with that when I got that done. So I've stamped that. Now I'm going to use pop dots to put the Merry and Bright on. So I'm going to speed through this process. They're tiny little pop dots. I probably would have layered several die pieces together if I'd had an actual die for the word Merry, but I cut those out of my Scan and Cut. So next time I might try that instead of using all the pop dots, but it turned out pretty good. I'm going to mount this using some score tape, and it's going to be on just a craft A2 card base, top folding, which that tends to be my favorite. But I'm just going to place that. It has a slight little border on there, and I actually love the card. I put a gem at the end as the dot on the eye, so I kind of put a little bit of bling on there, and I actually put a little bit of a sparkle nouveau on top of where I put the Wink of Stella, because it just actually made it look really pretty. So I'm happy.